Aloha, it's Tom McAuliffe with Grassroot TV. I'm here with President of the Grassroot Institute of Hawaii, Jamie Story. Aloha.
Aloha, how are you?
Good, I'm doing well. We understand that you just came back from a conference in Arizona about school choice. And of course, Hawaii is kind of unique in that we're one of the only states that only has one school district. But for those that are kind of curious about it, what is school choice and what's it all about?
Thank you for asking. School choice can encompass a number of different of choices, really. What the word school choice means is simply the ability for parents to choose their own child's school. Now, already in Hawaii and elsewhere, wealthy parents have school choice because they can choose to pay for a private school if they desire to send their children there. Maybe lower and middle income parents don't have that same choice. In other states, there are multiple school districts, and so even maybe people who can't afford to send their children to a private school can at least move a few miles away to another school district which might have a totally different curriculum or totally different programs. In Hawaii, though, because we only have one school district, those parents have virtually no choice. There are a few charter schools, but really a very small number, considering how spread out our state is. So certainly we need more options for parents here in Hawaii.
And does competition, does that enter into this? I mean, is competition a good thing for public education?
Absolutely. Competition is a good thing for anything. Anytime you have competition, you raise quality and you lower price. Some combination of those. Sometimes it's more raising the quality or more lowering the price. But if you look at what some cities and states have done to try to introduce additional competition is they've passed voucher or tax credit programs, which basically they allow lower income parents, well, all parents, but what they do is they allow parents who might not otherwise be able to afford a private school or be able to afford to move to a different school district to instead choose another school. Maybe they choose another public school that's not within their district, or maybe they choose to send their children to a private school. There's already a set amount of money that is going to pay for each child's education. And so all those programs do is instead allow the parent to take that amount of money and spend it wherever they wish instead of being assigned to the one school that happens to be in their neighborhood.
And is there a difference between like vouchers? We hear the term vouchers all the time. Is there a difference between that and like a tax credit? And which is better?
There is a difference. Just to quickly explain, a voucher is essentially, a set amount, say it's $6,000 or something. Some amount that may not quite cover all of a private school tuition, but there's private schools of all different price levels, and so it at least is kind of a discount even if you choose a more expensive private school. And then you get to use that, again, to go to a private school or even to go to another public school district in states that have multiple districts. A tax credit, however, can take a variety of different forms. It can be a personal tax credit where you get a credit towards your state income taxes you pay if you choose to send your child to a private school. So it just kind of helps you be able to afford that choice. There are other kinds of tax credits that allow people or businesses, even if they don't have children, to donate money to scholarship funds that support school choice, and then they receive a portion of that donation back as a tax credit. So I don't know if I hope that made sense.
It did, it definitely did.
But there's a bunch of different ways to do it. I probably prefer tax credits because you don't have government money going straight to private schools. Sometimes that can eventually lead to strings being attached like it has with our colleges and universities. I prefer tax credits just to keep a little more separation between state and the private schools.
Now, I know this is kind of your specialty. This is what you got your degree in. This is what you've worked in over the past years. One question that people who are against school choice seem to come up with all the time is that by allowing school choice, somehow we are not supporting public education in this country. How do you respond to that?
I'm trying to decide if I want to get on my soapbox or not. A few different ways. One, I'll just respond with the research. There are several long-standing voucher programs in this country. We have great research from them. Probably the longest standing one that we probably have the best research from is Milwaukee. And if you look at existing voucher and tax credit programs in this country, the kids who use the vouchers and the tax credits perform better. That's no surprise. They probably weren't performing well in the public school, which is why their parents chose to put them in a school where they would do better. But then you look at the kids who chose to stay, or even in some cases were forced to stay because there was a waiting list and they didn't make it in, and they even do better. Public schools have never, their performance has never gone down as a result of vouchers or tax credits. In fact, they've mostly gone up. At the worst, they've stayed the same. So that's kind of the research answer.
Interesting.
Now, my answer is that, like I mentioned earlier, competition, it lifts all ships. It lifts the water level for everybody. So all ships raise. When people talk about this, they have this attachment to public school. They equate it with apple pie and baseball as American traditions. Public schools didn't come about for a long time after Europeans settled the United States. In fact, the first school systems were really more like voucher systems, where you could choose to send your kids to a neighborhood schoolhouse or a church school or whatever. It wasn't until later that this whole government school monopoly kind of developed. I look around the country and I see that in urban areas, dropout rates are approaching 50%, especially among low-income students and especially among minorities. And I think, what is there to be attached to? We should be attached to the education part, and we should want education for the public, but there's no reason why that all needs to be public education.
Mm-hmm. Well, here in Hawaii, we're kind of unique in that we only have, as you say, one school district. And the DOE just recently announced that it's going to have to look at several areas of cutting back its budget. If there was one wish you had going into the next legislative session, what would it be in regards to the Department of Education?
Oh, that's hard.
Kind of hard to narrow it down to just one.
It's like asking a 5-year-old what they want for Christmas. I would love for, if I could just wish for anything, I'd love for the teachers' unions to embrace school choice. That's probably not realistic at the moment. A more realistic goal that I think could happen in the next year or two is for the Department of Education to post their spending online, to make it transparent. Government transparency is an issue you've heard me talk about before, and that we're working very hard here on at the Institute. But I don't think the average Hawaiian realizes that public schools are costing somewhere near $14,000 per student. That's nearly what you pay to go to Punahou or close to Iolani even. That's ridiculous.
And does that compare with other states?
Oh, it's far more than almost every single other state. I believe Washington, D.C. is a little bit higher, and maybe New Jersey, some of the really expensive cost of living states. But some of those states have more of have more industries and businesses to help support that tax base. Unfortunately, we don't have that here in Hawaii. So it's really putting a strain on citizens, and it's not getting the results that you'd want. I haven't yet looked at the dropout numbers for Hawaii, but I would be surprised if they were any better than those around the country, and especially here in Honolulu and an urban area with the challenges that urban schools often face. So I think that if the public realized what they were truly spending on these schools and what the true results were, which are not good, they probably would be a little more receptive and maybe actually protest a little louder and push for some real reforms in education. Throwing more money at the schools has been the trend over the past 30 or 40 years, and it has not solved anything. That is not the answer.
Outstanding. Thank you so much.
Thank you.